Hello chess lovers, Zurich here, and in this video I would like to share with you an interesting game played between Estonian chess grandmaster Paul Keres and the 7th world chess champion Vasily Smyslov. Although at the time of this game in 1953, Smyslov still was not the world champion, and this game was played in Zurich at Candidates Tournament. But before starting the game, would like to warm up your brain and please take a look at this position and try to find the mating line for white. I will wait for your answer in the comment section. And now without further ado, let's go for our game and see what happened on the board. Keres opened up with c4 English opening and knight f6 by Smyslov, knight c3 e6, knight f3 c5 e3, bishop e7 b3. White is preparing to fianchetto his queenside bishop. Meanwhile, black is also bringing his queenside bishop on the long diagonal. d5, bishop d3, knight c6, white castles kingside, bishop b7, rook c1. Both players are now starting to centralize their pieces. Knight b4, black wants to get rid of this active bishop, which is eyeballing on black's kingside. That's why Keres moved it back on f1 in order to keep it alive and also steal this. Bishop is protecting the pawn on c4. We have knight e4, a3, knight takes c3, rook takes c3, and after knight c6, knight e5, we also see the exchange of the second pair of knights. And if we have a look at the position, both players have bishop pair, and white rooks are actually very active. Now Keres will bring his rooks on the king's side. Bishop f6 by Smyslov, rook h5, and already there is a dangerous threat. For example, if you capture on c4, then white can go for a rook sacrifice on h7, and this actually allows white to gain great attacking chances. Black should give away his bishop in order to free the f-pawn's path, and after b takes c4, yes, white has a compensation for the sacrificed rook and has nice attacking chances. That's why in our game after rook h5 we have g6, rook h3, the second rook is also coming, and d takes c4. Yes, the rook on h5 is untouchable because after queen takes h5, rook e8, white can first play a4 in order to bring this bishop on this important diagonal. If queen d6, black is covering the a30 square, then queen h6 is very strong, and if bishop g7, then white can win the pawn on h7 and then can play rook g3. If bishop f6, then c5, and if queen d8, then this time c6. If rook takes c6, then bishop a3 check. And yes, guys, white is actually managing to get a very dangerous attack. White stands much better, and this is going to be very difficult for black to save this position. That's why in our game after rook h3 we have d takes c4 and rook takes h7. Yes, white proceeds with his attack and all this looks very scary. But it turns out that Smyslov had calculated everything and he proceeds with his counterattack on the queen side. c3 is on the board and queen c1. This is the last ingenious attempt to snare his opponent. By the way, instead of queen c1, white of course can't capture on c3 because of this rook takes c3. If rook takes c3, then the rook on h7 is no longer protected. That's why after c3 we have this tricky queen c1 move, but instead of winning the bishop, of course Smyslov found the best continuation and played queen takes d4. By the way, instead of queen takes d4, if c takes b2, then of course this is losing. Queen h6 is coming. There are some very dangerous threats. If queen takes d4, then rook g7 check is coming, and then queen h7 checkmate. That's why after queen c1 we first see queen takes d4, and after queen h6 Smyslov freed the f8 square for the king by playing rook d8, and already those sacrifices won't pass. Black king is escaping. And yes, although all this looks very scary, look at these white pieces lined up on the h file, but the essential squares are successfully covered by the bishop and the queen, and there is not much white can do. Here Keres went for bishop c1 with the threat of bishop g5, but Smyslov simply moved his bishop back. Queen g5, and now once white's attack is completely burnt out, White pieces are scattered on the right side of the board. Black is dominating in the center. Queen f6 was played, Queen g4, and the c-pawn marches forward. Bishop e2 and rook d4. f4. This time we have rook d1 check, and after bishop takes d1, queen d4 check, Paul Keres resigned. If rook e3, then black can go for a pawn promotion, and yes, white's position is totally lost. That's why after queen d4 check we have a resignation. A nice defense by Vasily Smyslov. White's carry attack boomeranged back, and Keres found himself in a lost position. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this game. For more games, consider subscribing to my channel. Also, press the bell button to get notified about new uploads. I will see you in my next video. Good luck.